Okay, we have some folks waiting. We've got people waiting, and we also have Nina Turner here. Senator Nina Turner. This is Lemon Live. We're so glad that you guys could be here. This is our live 5 o'clock show where Nina, this is where we interact with our viewers and our subscribers. So we're so glad
Excellent.
that you're here to join us today. But let me introduce you, okay? By the way, everyone, I am in Los Angeles. I will tell you why I'm here just a little bit later on, a special treat for you. We have a wonderful guest joining us today on Lemon Live at 5. Nina Turner, one of the most prominent and provocative voices in the progressive movement now. She's an activist, she's a professor, she's a senior fellow at Race Power Policy, a former Ohio State Senator, and she's a national surrogate for Bernie Sanders 2016 and national co-chair of Bernie Sanders 2020.
That's
Wow,
a
how are
lot,
you?
Don. We can stop right there.
There's a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about everything from the upcoming election to Joe Biden to Gaza and everything. You're doing okay, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am. So good
Yeah.
to
Okay.
see you, Don, and I'm glad
You as
you
well.
living live, baby.
I know. And you said, I can't believe before we got on, she said, I can't believe it took you this long to get me on your show. I've been saving the best for, later.
For later, I
So
received
here's
that.
here's the deal. There's a couple of things that we're going to talk about. I want to talk to you about this because I know this is not your wheelhouse, but you are a woman, and I'm sure you've seen what's happening with Diddy and that awful tape that was released. We're going to talk about this House committee brawl. We're going to talk about President Joe Biden's path to victory in November, the war in Gaza. We're going to discuss the progressive movement post Bernie Sanders and the 70th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. And then I want to weigh in, and maybe Nina will before I'll do it too, on this Harrison Butker, the place kicker for the Chiefs, what he said about women and what he said about gay people and, a woman's right to choose and so on. It has been going around. I've been holding off on weighing in, but I felt that I couldn't wait any longer. So anyway, thank you very much. Nina, let's get to it. I want to play the video, okay, first from Diddy. That was an exclusive interview, not an exclusive interview that my old network got exclusively. But let's play it and then we'll talk about it.
To corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016. A lawsuit filed by Ventura in November last year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio.
Nina, this was 2016 in a hotel, and this was Cassie Ventura. Remember, she got $30 million when she filed the suit against Diddy. I just want to know what you think of the video, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
I mean, it's very disturbing, Don. Very troubling. I mean, I'm still trying to digest this. My text messages were blowing up when this video first hit. And, domestic violence is never acceptable. 1 in every 3 women in this country face some type of domestic violence, and 1 in every 4 men. I mean, we don't talk about men much, but men can be victims of domestic violence too. And so it's never acceptable. And while this video has surfaced about Diddy, and he certainly has some explaining to do, I mean, you can't explain away that video. We need to
I don't think
also
you can
look.
come back from that video.
No,
I
I
don't think
mean,
you
you
can.
you can't. In some ways, we would like to believe that people can be redeemed, and that's why I put out that particular point. But my larger point is, while this is Diddy today, hundreds of thousands of women face this on a regular basis. And if this moment can be used to talk about domestic violence in our country, the Congress putting more money in the Violence Against Women Act, those kinds of things, Don. So yes, this is going to have to be dealt with as it is, but there's a global phenomenon in this country, and quite frankly, Don, all over the world, of women being subjected to domestic violence. And again, some men face domestic violence too, but I'm still trying to digest this thing. It's very disturbing
I
to
hate to
me.
even watch it. I mean, I think you have to, right? You have to,
Yeah,
people have to see this so they know. And look, there have been all these allegations, as you know, about Diddy. We don't know what's true and what's not, but there
that's
was
right.
never any video, right?
Yes.
And then just to let you know what happened, I just want to make sure that I get all this right. Um, he faced these allegations that he physically attacked his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura during an altercation that matches the allegations in this now settled federal lawsuit filed by Ventura in November. They settled. He had to pay her multiple millions of dollars. Now, just to provide a little more context, since November, as we know, I've just been telling Nina about all these allegations. We don't know what's true and what's not. He has faced 5 other civil lawsuits accusing him of a range of things, of sexual misconduct, other illegal activity. He has denied all these allegations, and these cases remain active now. Authorities, if you've been following this, search Combs' home in California and in Florida. That was in April as part of a federal investigation carried out by the Department of Homeland Security, that team that handles human trafficking crimes. So we don't know how far this is going to go, but this is certainly not good. This, I hate to see this happen, obviously, but I think this brings light to a movement I think that, in my opinion, had been fading a little bit. Doesn't mean that was important. That means the Me Too movement that had done really great things for women and were highlighting inequities or inequalities in society when it comes to women, and also abuse like this, Nina. So maybe more people will realize, like, hey, this shit is still happening and we need to do more about it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. It happens every single day. Unfortunately, some woman or some man is a victim of some type of domestic violence. Very heavy, very disturbing. I just even haven't had time to totally digest this.
Yeah.
I know Diddy, and this hurts me greatly because I do know him, and I'm floored. I'm traumatized. I'm troubled. To Cassie, who had to endure it, or nobody could be more traumatized than what we saw in that hallway. So yeah,
I know him too. I don't know him. I'm not friends with him, but I do know him. I do communicate, or I used to see him out at events. But I got to say that video is awful. So we'll see what comes of that. I think the statute of limitations has run its course when it comes to this sort of activity, but we'll see what happens next when it comes to this Diddy case. I appreciate you talking to me about this. I know it's not your wheelhouse, but I know you're a woman who cares. And look, not only this is about all women, right, and about violence, but this is a Black man and a Black woman, and it's just not a good look.
It's not.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what you do know about. What is going on in our Congress? What is happening with this House committee brawl? There's more breaking news on this story that I want to talk to Nina about on another story. These issues, it's crazy because this fight erupted in the House Oversight Committee meeting last night. I want to play some video for our audience, just in case you missed it. It's about 3 minutes long, okay? So we're going to look at it with you. Nina and I are going to look at you, and then I want to hear what Nina has to say. Here it is. Watch.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman, that's beneath even
the order of your committee. Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't think
we are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I second that motion. So who will have to pay? Okay. Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
should apologize.
recognizes
No.
Mr.
She
Perry.
should apologize.
Okay, hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
out of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
I move to
I would
strike-
like to
Order.
strike
the
those
lady's
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's
control.
the correct priority. Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time, yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection.
Not apologizing.
21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike
I had no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You
yes.
just voted to do
Y'all did
it.
it first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm down.
No, because this
I
is
would
what
like to
y'all
get
do.
through proceeding.
So I'm trying to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And you
yelling.
don't want me
Calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a
Mr.
problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right,
Sorry.
Chair.
I don't know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
Nina, let me just say, those are catch me outside words.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
They
Taking
were-
it
she
to the
was-
streets, Don.
They were lucky. I'm just saying, when I listen to AOC and Jasmine Crockett, Marjorie Taylor Greene is lucky that she was in a place where they had to conduct themselves, because am I lying?
Don, listen, okay, don't bring it here. That was that moment. See, there are a few things that people need to experience in life. I got a long list, but I won't bore our audience with all of them. But part of my top 5 is 1, you got to go to a black church before you leave this earth, because there ain't nothing like it. And 2, you got to get a good cussing out by a black woman, because you ain't lived until you've been cussed out. And I ain't say cursed, cussed out by a black woman. Marjorie Taylor Greene was looking for that because she hadn't been cussed out that day.
Yeah.
And she almost got that, all that. She got a little bit of that. I mean, how dare she? How dare she?
Yeah.
And the chairman was stunned, Don, when
I don't think she would be that bold. I don't think she'd be that bold. She was surrounded by people and she knew nothing was going to happen. But I think if she was outside of that chamber, she would not say what she said.
not
And listen, all right. So listen, we're having a little bit of fun with this.
Yeah.
That was not warranted.
No.
In no
not
way
at
was
all.
that warranted. She went to the gutter first
She
with
did.
some ghetto BS, right? Some, I can't say that. I can actually. Some WTBS about talking about a woman's eyelashes or whatever. And then Crockett talked about, said, some bleach
Your
blonde,
bleach blonde,
bad
butch body.
butch body.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that your eyelashes, I don't think would affect your brain, but some hair bleach might seep in, and maybe it's affecting what Marjorie Taylor Greene is, the way she is conducting herself.
Well, there are
Let's put it that
studies
way.
out there, Don. Now, you're not far off. I mean, I want the audience to understand that it's not made up. I mean, there's research out there that says how harmful these chemicals are. So maybe it is that. And we got to find something to blame on her obsessiveness. Marjorie Taylor Greene, definitely off the chain all the time. This is not the first time she's gone there with people. She was on the floor, remember, of the Congress. She called Bobert. They going back and forth, calling each other the B word. So Marjorie Taylor Greene lives here. But another point, down that other Congresswoman, and I'm not sure what her name is, telling Congresswoman Crockett to calm down.
Mhm.
See, folks use that and to make it seem like black women are angry or we in an uproar all the time. That was a strategic dog whistle by that other Congresswoman to tell Congresswoman Crockett to calm down. What should she calm down? Calm down for what? She was the one that was attacked, and she has every right to defend herself. But that really galled me, that calm down. No, you tell your girl over there, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, don't go there in this committee. That's what you do, but you don't tell Congresswoman Crockett to calm down.
What would you have done, Nina?
Exactly
She had
that.
done that too.
Hell, this
Yeah.
reminds me of the parliament. You know what? Hey, let's get this off every committee. If I was the chairman, I said, y'all get this off every committee, so then we can get down to the people's business.
Yeah, I'm surprised there weren't any hands being thrown.
Hey,
because-
she said. I mean, I thought Congresswoman Crockett was about to get up.
What is What has happened to the Congress? I mean, I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm not saying that you can't have a good argument, right? If you're doing it over policy, but when it devolves into personal attacks, what is going on? Is it because of the kind of people that the MAGA movement has ushered into the Congress, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, that it has devolved to this level?
I mean, it's a shield, and I think it's a shield for inaction. I mean, that entire Congress is not well liked by the majority of the American people, really have no use for Congress as a body, because as a body, they don't get much done to change material conditions. It's not just the MAGA movement. I mean, we can go back in time in America's history where these types of uproars took place. I mean, people were killed, congressmen were killed. Let's go out on a duel, and whoever walks off is the winner, and people died. So this is mild compared. However, it is for the MAGA movement and for the Republicans a shield so that they don't have to get anything done.
Yeah. On another note, I want to talk to you about, well, first of all, before I go there, did you see the men? They were like, ooh, sitting around.
Oh yeah, they like, we don't want none of this.
They didn't want any of that heat.
We ain't in this.
I'm not.
I ain't touching this with a 10-foot pole.
My name is Wes. I ain't in this mess.
They were wise, Don. That was exercising wisdom.
Senator John Fetterman mocked AOC, Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene after the war of words. He posted on Twitter, and I'm quoting here. In the past, I've described the U.S. House as the Jerry Springer Show. Today, I'm apologizing to the Jerry Springer Show. I just thought that it was, why would he do that?
He has no ground to stand on. This man, don't ask me about. You talking about Senator John Fetterman?
Yeah, I know. Yes,
yeah.
Because you liked him and now you don't. Right?
Yeah, he's been a big disappointment. The way he shuns, some protesters out and people in some of his constituencies, just because he doesn't like their positions. He has shown himself not to be professional and not to be the type of person that can serve people. I've been in service to people. And not all the time do your constituents or others who may not necessarily be your direct constituents agree with you, but you got to deal with it. So how dare he weigh in?
Well, why don't you say how you really feel, Nina?
He had no right. I mean, well, hell, how dare he weigh in, Don?
I was being sarcastic because you don't hold back. Well, what do you think has happened? Because he's got some criticism lately for his actions. What do you think is going on with John Fetterman? Is he becoming, is he moving to the right?
I mean, maybe that was his true nature. He was on this stick. A lot of members, particularly in that Congress, when being a progressive was the popular thing to do. And I know we're going to talk about the progressive movement and Senator Bernie Sanders and all, but there was a popular thing. Certainly Senator Bernie Sanders cemented the 21st century iteration of the progressive movement. And the Democratic Party started to move, at least in words, to the left. People signing on to the Medicare for All bill when he first introduced it. He couldn't even buy a vowel. Very few people would sign on to it. And so those things became popular. And so people who were not true progressives said, hey, this is the train I can ride to get elected. And I believe what is happening to John Fetterman is that his true nature is revealing itself, that he was never a progressive to begin with. He just rode the train to get elected. That's what's happening with this dude. And he could be so nasty. I mean, I've seen some of the video. Don, have you seen it? I mean, as an elected official, we take a lot of crap from people, no doubt. And I get it. It is a pressure cooker at times. But you don't have to be nasty to people in the way that he has been. He acts like a brat. I mean, worse than a toddler. He couldn't even handle what them ladies were dishing out, obviously. I want him to meet me in Cleveland. Meet me outside.
In the street. So I want to talk to you about something that I think is really important, and that is what has been going on. And that New York Times Siena poll, right? Which is really causing a lot of consternation throughout the country and among Democrats. Okay. According to the poll, Biden is close to tied among voters under 30. A group of Democrats have carried by at least 18 points in every election since 2004. He leads just 63% to 23% among Black voters head to head, and he takes just 49% of them when you include third-party candidates. Democrats, Nina, haven't taken less than 80% of the Black vote since at least 1972. What is going on here?
The president is in trouble. I mean, the emperor has no clothes. and they need to tell them. This is not just about one poll. There have been many polls over the course of this election cycle that starts way too early. But many polls have indicated that his support is slipping among people of color, particularly Black people. And then we also know young voters. And he just believes because he's running against, I mean, it seems very likely it's going to be him, come down to him and Trump, that he could use the playbook that he used in 2020, which is I'm not Trump. I don't think that dog is going to hunt this time because the world has changed so much. Unfortunately, some of it to the negative when you look at what's happening in the Gaza. I mean, we got also genocide and famine going on, Sudan, Congo, Haiti. You look at it, the world is in an uproar, but primarily voters like Black voters and younger voters care very deeply about the genocide that's happening in the Gaza. And this president is ignoring that. I mean, the encampments, Don, are very reminiscent of how young people came out during the Vietnam War, very reminiscent of the Freedom Riders, very reminiscent of the students that sat in at the lunch counters in the South to force and to push change. And my party seems to be totally oblivious to this because they think this is a rerun of 2020. I assure them this will not be a rerun. And one other point, Don, is we have this discussion. For all that Trump has on his plate in terms of court cases, for him to be this close to President Joseph R. Biden should sound the alarm. But it hasn't. I mean, in some ways, it seems like his team or this administration is either hubris, they too callous, or maybe too stupid to see the emperor has no clothes. And it's quite disappointing.
Man, Nina, you are gonna. I just feel it. I haven't looked at the comments because again, this is our viewer feedback show. They are going to be all over you and all over me because they're going to be mad about what you're saying. But I've been trying to tell people. I know it's disappointing, but you need to know what's going on. You have to know what the polls are saying. Look. I know that people discount polls, and the polls are often wrong. But you can't discount every single poll, especially when you have one that says, I think it's in Nevada, 13 points.
That's right.
That's pretty scary. So my question is, can he do anything to turn it around? Because like you and I think that you believe the way that I believe that another Trump presidency would be a disaster.
Neo-fascism kills you quick. I mean, I often say neo-fascism kills you quick and neoliberalism kills you slow. I mean, it's the difference between us being in a room and the person saying y'all got 24 to 48 hours left of oxygen left versus you're dead right now. I mean, that's how I see these two. And it's not just me, Donnie. You're right. Hey, the commenters, I can handle it. I live in opposition. But this is the point. Don't listen to Nina Turner. Don't listen to Don Lemon. There are other polls out there that show very early on in this race that the American people did not want to see this rematch, Don. Let's start with that foundation even before we go and look at the countless other polls that show that President Biden is in trouble. Now, you ask, what can he do? One of the things that he can do is to really start to change material conditions for people in this country and recognize that despite what the economists are saying about the economy of the streets is a different reflection than what Wall Street is reflecting. Number two, don't ignore the Democratic Party, not just the progressive base, but there's a recent poll that came out that showed that 85% of Democrats, 70% of voters believe that what is happening in the Gaza is wrong and that the United States should not continue to supply weapons. Now, that's not Nina Turner saying this, Don, and this is not even all progressives. But for this president to pretend like that is not what the American people are saying is wrong. Donald J. Trump is not occupying the White House at this moment. He's not. And so the good, the bad, and the ugly falls at the feet of this president. If he continues to ignore the coalition that got him there in 2020, and now he's continuing to ignore a broader based coalition, I don't know what to tell him, Don. I'm trying to help them out.
Listen, it's trying to warn people. Again, neither of us want to be down on this administration because, and even though I know you're not a fan of Biden, right?
No, I'm not.
No, okay, but I think Nina agrees, believes what I believe, that another Trump presidency would be a disaster. Okay,
absolutely.
And so there would be to see, and at this point, Joe Biden back in the White House would be better than the alternative. But here's the thing. Let me go to some of what some people are saying.
Sure.
Okay. Connie Converse says, use this platform to educate them on Trump's 2025 plan. I do it all the time. Every single day we talk about this. I talk about 2025. There's a question that I pose about all those things. We do that. Keith Franklin says, she's talking right. Talking about you, Nina Turner. She's talking right. Roxanne Tracy says, remember the polls of 2016. Yeah, I don't pay attention to the polls. Okay, but the polls in 2016 were closer than the polls that are out now. And the polls in 2016 were mainly about, Nina, tell them, the popular vote.
That's right.
And Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote. So they were right on target with that. But the votes that are out, the polls that are out now are mainly focusing on what is happening in the states that are most important, right?
That's right. I mean, the states where there will be some wiggle room. I mean, my
Right.
state, the great state of
Right.
Ohio, used to be a swing state. We don't swing anymore. I mean, this is a state, Don, as you remember, that went for then Senator Obama in 2008, President Obama in 2012, and then 2 times voted to put Donald J. Trump in office. So we don't swing much, but we're talking about the states that will swing. Let us not forget that in 2020, President Biden only won Michigan by 10,000 votes, Wisconsin by about 20,000 votes.
Are you guys listening? Are you
So
guys
these
listening?
are yeah, and we don't elect
Don't-
presidents by the popular vote. I mean,
by the
come on.
popular vote, unfortunately, because then that would have been a Democratic president for Democrats, right? For
That's
the
right.
past, I don't know how many
And
elections.
that, can I say, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
bring us any joy, but somebody got to have the courage, the
Right.
intestinal fortitude to tell the truth. And look, I can't want Biden to win more than Biden wants to win. He got everything at his disposal. He's the incumbent. He's raising money. He comes in with an advantage. You know, we can send billions of dollars for war, but we can't
So-
have universal health care.
We're going to talk about the war. We're going to talk about war next.
Ugh.
But what would you do then, Nina Turner? What would you do at this point?
President Biden is going to have a reckoning on the Gaza down. I don't see any way around it. I mean, we see these encampments. We see police being weaponized against people. I mean, again, it reminds me of what happened during the Vietnam War. It reminds me of what happened during the civil rights movement, where you had barking dogs, water hoses on Black people and their allies. For what crime? For standing up against a system that was rotten to the core, Don. These things are repeating themselves. And don't get me wrong, police are responsible for how they comport themselves once they get on the scene. But don't let the cowards in the suits fool you. They are weaponizing the police against peaceful protesters.
Okay, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to
Okay.
that. But I want to stick with Biden
Okay.
now. So do you think he should relinquish his delegates at the convention?
I mean, that's a possibility. I'm a delegate. I mean, many of your viewers might not know that, but I'm a delegate. I will be there live and in living color.
But to who? You said it's a possibility, but
Hey,
to
I
who?
mean, I don't know. The problem with this, and I'm glad you asked me that. The problem is primaries are supposed to be for robust debate and for voters to be able to see what the options are. But in this game, if any of the governors, name Gavin Newsom, for example, I'm just throwing it out because he ain't my cup of tea either, but name any of the people who would be the likeliest to run for president, they were shut down not to get out there, because if they did, then the apparatus of the Democratic Party would turn on them because we have an incumbent. Those are the facts. And
Okay,
when you
but
have
Nina, let me just push back on you,
Okay.
because when you have an incumbent, he is an incumbent. Those rules don't usually apply when it's incumbent. And on the Republican side, everybody falls in line. When Donald Trump ran in 2016, right, people said, I can never vote for him. The Access Hollywood, grab him by the P tape. All these Republicans came out. And then they all fell in line. That did not happen with the Democrats. Okay, fine. I think your argument, you had a better argument in 2016 when you talk about, it's a time for robust debate. I agree with you. But what about when there's an incumbent? Don't you think Democrats and usually, even people of color are underserved communities who have a better chance under Democrats? You don't think that they should fall in line and say, okay, this is the best we got?
No,
There are
Don.
2 people.
No.
There's room for 2 people in this race.
I do not, because we're supposed to be a democracy. So the primary is the time to debate it out. You shut down people like Marianne Williamson. You laugh her off like she doesn't matter. She mattered. She had the courage to get out there and run. Cenk Uygur in the race had a right to run. You know what I mean? You shut people down. I thought this was supposed to be about democracy. My party is out there indicting the Republicans for shutting down democracy. And here we are. We do the same thing. Hell no, people shouldn't fall in line. What is this? This is not a monarchy.
But that's how Republicans win, though. That's what I'm just saying.
Listen, my party needs to do a better job of changing material conditions and showing that they are indeed different. Indeed. All the way down. I mean, we didn't get the George Floyd Act, Policing Act passed down in 2020. And don't tell me about Cinema and Mansion. Okay, we didn't get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. They didn't increase the minimum wage. They railed against the rail workers at first. So Don, all I'm saying is that people tired of the okie doke. And I'm in these streets. I travel a lot all over this country.
Well, let me tell you what one of the viewers or subscribers said. By the way, speaking of subscribers, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, right? You hit the like and the thumbs up button because the algorithm depends on it. And Nina, we're growing so much. I'm so happy being in independent media. It's really amazing.
I'm happy you there, Don.
Telling me what to say. Okay, so all right, you heard what the viewer said.
What did they say?
Tell them, educate them about Project 2025. So you have Donald Trump who wants to, do the he wants basically have martial law. He wants to be able to use the Justice Department and the National Guard on American citizens. He wants to get rid of the FBI, the Department of Justice, and on and on and on. But then on the other side, you have someone who believes in democracy. You may not love them. You may not believe in everything. But I'm trying to educate people about Project 2025. And when the system is the way it is, and I agree with you, it should be, we need to rework the system. It is a democracy. And when you're facing the possibility of what you're facing with Donald Trump.
Well, we are a republic, because I could hear some smart aleck in the comments saying we really are a Republican. They would be right. We are. But Don, here's the thing. Why is the onus, and I need you to help me out with this, because
the voters?
All the damn time. Like, why is, to me, the way this argument, I mean, push back on me, all we push back on each other. We ain't got a problem. But this is a sincere question.
We're having a discussion. You know what's
up. No, I know. We love each other. Hell.
Yeah.
But, but seriously, why, and I'm being earnest in this, why is the onus always put on the voters instead of the onus being put on the people who are actually running for office? You don't think working class people, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? You don't think they got a right to be mad as hell? You don't think they got a right to care that we can, on a whim, send billions of dollars to Ukraine, to Israel, to Taiwan? But when the question is called about universal health care, which would help individuals and businesses, the question is asked, how are we going to pay for it?
But who are your chances better with? Who do you have a better chance with?
The conundrum is that when my party controlled both chambers and the White House, they did absolutely nothing in that regard. So it's not always a matter of people tired of being lied to.
Okay.
They tired of their material conditions not changing, Don. I think that's reasonable. Look, Cardi B, I know you saw that Rolling Stone, was it Rolling Stone article where she said she ain't effing with neither one of them.
Yeah.
I've heard that all over the country. So this is what's going to happen. It's not so much that Democratic leaning voters are going to run to Trump, even though Trump is going to get a larger share of those voters.
He's getting a larger share of black people.
Of black people, for sure, he's going to get a larger share. But people are just going to sit it out. That's what's going to happen. And because of the way the Electoral College rolls, Trump could win. So I need President Joseph R. Biden to act like Trump is a big threat and stop putting the onus on the voters. Don't play with what he said to Charlemagne the God on the show, but before the 2020, if you ain't, if you don't know if you voting for me or for Trump, you ain't black.
If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. But I mean, Trump said the same thing to Jews the other day.
Hey, both of them are wrong. You don't come at people like that. You don't come at people.
All right. Well, let's talk about. You need some more passion, Nina. I mean, you're quiet. Do you want some caffeine? You want me to send you some?
I need some, Don. This is me on chill.
All right. So listen, you mentioned you talked about Gaza a couple of times when you mentioned the protests on college campuses, and I understand this is an issue that's really important to you. I just want to ask you about your experience that you had on television during a cable interview. You were talking about, quote, the slaughter of Palestinian civilians. And you said, quote, someone said, we don't need a lecture. Now, a lot of folks were stunned by this. So what do you think of corporate media do you think they're against having these conversations, or real conversations on this topic? Like, what's your response to that?
In some cases, they are. I mean, I was outnumbered on that panel, but hell, I live in opposition. It takes a whole lot to come after Nina Turner. But yeah, no, I do believe, unfortunately, that mainstream media does not want to have these deep-seated conversations, and they are necessary. It's not that we all have to agree, but to have a myriad of voices heard on this particular issue. The literal definition of genocide is happening in the Gaza. That doesn't take away from the horrific thing that Hamas did, the horrendous deeds of Hamas on October the 7th. Absolutely not. Doesn't take away from 1,200 Israelis being killed and others being kidnapped. No, it doesn't take away from that. Just as what we see unfolding right now with almost 40,000 Palestinians killed, overwhelming majority of those women and children, collective punishment, people living in famine. Down at this point, okay, we need the United States to step up and say, not on our watch will this happen. And the reason why the United States has a particular role is because because of our positioning. We're a hegemonic nation. That's number one. Number two, we fund Israel, not just with these weapons, but we fund them every year to the tune of about $4 billion every single year. Now, Don, I grew up in a Black household, so I'm gonna use this as an example. And in my mama's house, if she was paying the cost to be the boss, oh, you got to listen. And that is why the United States, when people say, oh, we don't have a right to tell Israel what to do and how to comport themselves, the hell we don't. Yes, we do. Because it is our bombs bombing them babies over there. And it is our money going towards this. We have to say that we want justice and security for both Israelis and Palestinians, and that Palestinian babies matter and Israeli babies matter. What's wrong with saying that, Don? Yeah. And that the Palestinians should have the right to self-determination. That is how we defeat Hamas.
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. And by saying that, I don't think that anyone should be called, a Zionist, or they should be called anti-Semitic, right?
No.
For having compassion for all people. But here's the thing. I'm going to ask you I asked Mehdi Hassan this question, and you use the word now, the genocide, the G word, as they call it, because I know that you said there are moderate Democrats who are opposed to the war in Gaza, who want a ceasefire. They hate Netanyahu. There are, many people who are opposed to that, but they just think that using that word genocide is a bridge too far. They feel it is alienating and that it hurts the Palestinian cause. What do you say to them? They believe it hurts the cause more than helping the cause by using that word.
Okay, well, what word would they like us to use? When you have the extermination of a group of people happening, when you have people pushed to the brink, millions of them pushed into Rafah, and now bombing going on in Rafah, people living in famine, right? I mean, what word do they want to use? I mean, one of Shakespeare's quote comes to mind right now. What's in the name? A rose by any name smells just as sweet. I know I jacked up Shakespeare's quote, but in other words, the actions matter. So I'm putting it back on the people who don't like the word genocide. What word would you like us to use for the collective slaughter of a group of people? What word? And see, they caught up, people who care about the word, they're getting caught up on the wrong thing. What needs to happen is a permanent ceasefire, return of all hostages, and a way to bring peace to that region that gives the Palestinians self-determination and safety and security, and the same for Israelis. That's the only way we're going to do away with Hamas. That's the only way that's going to happen, because the whole nature of Hamas or the mentality, it is a mentality. It's not individuals. It's something that lives. And the only way to weed that out is to give these people what they deserve, and they should not be collectively punished. I was on the campus of Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio, with students in encampments, and I met two young women. One told the story about how her mother is over in the Gaza as her eyes were welling up in tears. What do you want? What am I supposed to say to her? I care about her mother, just like I care about some of the Jewish people I've encountered who had loved ones over there, either held hostage or were killed. You can't war your way to peace.
Mm-hmm. And it's awful, because I mean, just today there's a report that they found 4 of the hostages dead, right? And so, you have the folks on the Israeli side still, and not just on the Israeli side, condemning what happened on October 7th, condemning the killing of people and the taking of hostages. But then you have this, what people believe is the outsized response from Israel, from the government of Israel,
That's right.
not the people of Israel.
The government.
Right, the government of
That's
Israel.
Right. That's right.
Before we get to, because I have more things that I want to talk about, we'll let that stay there and we'll continue to talk about it. Bernie Sanders, I mentioned that you did a lot of work with Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020, and he's running for his Vermont Senate seat again. My question is that, listen, no one's immortal. There's been a lot of talk about age in this election cycle. Bernie Sanders, I believe, is at 82, right?
Yes.
I believe he's the most outspoken and the highest profile progressive in government. How do you see the progressive movement on the other side of Bernie Sanders? I don't mean after he's dead. That's not what I mean. But when Bernie Sanders says, "Hey, look, it's time for someone else to step in," is it AOC? What do you see? Who is the heir apparent?
I mean, I think it's going to be a myriad of people. One of our campaign slogans was not about me, it's about us. The progressive movement is still relatively young. When you compare it to neoliberal types, it's a young movement, burgeoned in the 2016 race. And there are lots of I don't look at the movement as necessarily individual leaders, as I look at it as a collective. So certainly, Congresswoman Cori Bush comes to mind. So we're gonna have leaders both inside formal government and also outside formal government. Yours truly, who you have sitting here right here with you. I'm a leader in that
waiting on
movement
that
too. So hell,
I was like, what is she going to say?
Call the roll. Let's go and call the roll the right way. Nina Turner, number one.
What are the issues then? Because the Bernie Sanders and progressive Democrats, I believe they push the Democratic Party platform to the left, which is your progressive. That's what you want to do in 2016 and 2020. So I'm curious now, in this election year, what do you think is going to move the party? What are the issues? What are the targets?
I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's the economy, it's quality of life issues. I mean, things that could change and make working class people's lives better, higher wages, no doubt about that. Ringing in these corporations that are, making money through the type of greed that is quite chilling to everyday workers. It is universal health care. Every other industrialized nation. I know I sound like, I bring this up over and over because I am going to bring it up. It is the thing that could really help individuals and also especially small businesses if we had universal health care. Why does every other industrialized nation in the world have it but us? Why don't we have paid family medical leave in the United States of America? Again, Don, why is it in a bipartisan way Republicans and Democrats could come together in the middle of the night to put hundreds of billions of dollars towards war, but they can't do the same thing towards lifting the American people? And guess what? The progressive movement has not just animated the Democratic Party. The issues that we're standing for are popular. The majority of the American people, for example, believe that the government should play a bigger role in healthcare. So that's not just progressives. That is the American people. What we have is a disconnect between those who are elected and what the American people are saying that they want and they need. It is tragic in a hegemonic nation that 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. It just is. It is tragic that in the 21st century, Black mothers still die at higher rates than white mothers and other mothers in third or in other nations. I hate that term, third world countries, but non-industrialized nations, and babies die at higher rates. It is tragic that we have a legal system that still sees Black and brown people and then poor people from all walks of life by extension as somehow not worthy of having true justice. It is tragic that children in this country go to bed hungry. All of those things are tragic. God, by another example, it'll take about $20 billion by some estimates to eradicate homelessness. So for all that money that we just sent overseas, we could attempt to eradicate homelessness in the United States of America. Why can't we do that? Charity starts at home and spreads abroad, but we ain't got a lot of love and charity happening in the United States of America. So to that point, going back to your original question, the progressive movement itself, both inside and outside, has to continue to push this nation and its leaders to enact policies that actually gets the change that we need.
So Stealth Dragon, make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you like, hit the thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe, everyone. Okay, so listen, Stealth Dragon is saying we need technology and renewable energy, no going backwards with Trump. We need to move forward. I'm going to tell everybody here, please don't sit out this election. Please vote, says Anita Hubert. Puffin says, we can and should replace Biden at the convention with AOC. Bernie, they say. Let's see. Someone said, oh, Don, wow, didn't know you had a YouTube channel. I subscribed. Thank you very much, Indica Dreams. And then someone else said something that I wanted to get in here that I thought was very Happy Hippie says Europe has universal health care, but not the USA, Nina. So
That's
people are
it.
agreeing with what you're saying. So this leads us to the next thing that I want to talk to you about. And that is today is the 70th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. And I just want to talk about this Washington Post Ipsos poll. And it's interesting, especially when I hear from older people who tell me, Don, we wanted equality. We didn't necessarily want separate but equal. We wanted equality, and we wanted to have the same facilities or the premium on education and other things as others. But here's what it says. 1 in 3 Black people say integration didn't help Black students. Are you surprised by that?
No, I'm not. I mean, we know what it took. I mean, the Brown Board of Education case overturned Plessy versus Ferguson of 1896, separate, that whole case about, you can be separate and equal. It upended that Brown board, excuse me. But then there was a part 2 to Brown, which, the court said with all deliberate speed, something to that effect. Well, that's nebulous. What do you mean by all deliberate speed? We know that southern states and some northern states, they slow walked it, right? They took their time to really adhere to the spirit of Brown versus the Board of Education. When we fast forward 70 years later, we see educational outcomes. There's still an achievement gap between Black children and white children. There's a resource gap between schools in urban areas and even some rural areas that we leave out compared to suburban areas. So no, I am not surprised that the lived reality of Black folks 70 years beyond Brown is not much different, and it should be.
7 in 10 Americans say more should be done to integrate schools across the nation, and yet we just gutted affirmative action. What do you make of that?
That's it. I mean, and it's not just integration that's going to do it. It is an intention that says that every single child in this country deserves a high quality education, no matter what their zip code is. And we are going to ensure that they got it. I mean, that really is the foundational point of Brown. Now, obviously, to do that, a desegregation and integration had to happen, but we got to take that a step further. And that just has not, it has not happened. Again, resources follow the money. So now we spend some of that war money on ensuring that every child in this country gets a high quality education, and we expand that beyond K through 12. I mean, I am one of those believers that we should go beyond K through 12 in this 21st century economy and include community colleges and public colleges up to 4 years and take that on as a social contract in the same way that we take on K through 12 education. Yeah. We can do that, and we should do that.
I also think that, even there should be incentives, and maybe you said that because I was looking over my notes here, but incentives for trade schools. Not everybody's meant to go to college, right? And to teach trades and to teach specialties and things. And because look, many of the people who do trades and crafts and whatever, they have more money than I do.
Yeah, they do.
Plumbers, I'm telling you, rolling in it.
Yeah.
The landscapers where I live are rolling in it. The roofers where I live are rolling in it. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. Good for them.
Yeah.
And I say good for them. We should put more money into trades. Just before I let you go, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. But I want to ask you what you think about this Kansas City Chief place kicker, Harrison Butker, where he talked about women, and that, they were sold the biggest something, a diabolical lie, and that being whatever. And then he talked about the gays and saying, that there was nothing to be proud of, yada, yada, yada. What do you think? And I'm gonna do a take after you.
I was gonna say, roll the tape. Yeah, I watched this fool. He in the wrong century. I mean, I thought he was in the 1950s. I couldn't believe the stuff that was coming out of that man's mouth. And then he missed the assignment. I mean, I want your viewers to understand this. The man was assigned the task of speaking at a graduation. You're supposed to center the graduates, dude. He did anything but center the graduates. He needs to stay kicking, okay? See, that being a commencement speaker, Pumpkin, ain't for you. It ain't for you. That's my advice. That's Nina Turner advice. Just stay kicking.
Nina Turner, thank you. I'm going to kick you out of here. So click off and get on out of here. And thank you. We'll see you back here
Until
next time.
Next time, Don.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.
My
I appreciate
pleasure.
you joining. Yeah. Okay. So listen, I spoke about Harrison Butker, and I wrote down some things here because women belong in the kitchen. That is the advice that Harrison Butker, he is the Chiefs place kicker. That's the advice that he gave to women during this commencement address that we talked about, okay, on Saturday. That he imparted to, it was at students at Benedictine College, the graduation ceremony on Saturday. Women's lives do not start until they become wives and mothers. That's a quote from him. It's not the sort of, this isn't like your run-of-the-mill casual misogyny here. This is a deep-seated visceral bigotry. As Nina said, I was thinking, what is this? Are we back in the 1950s? Have we gone back in time when women were expected to be barefoot and pregnant, not speaking unless spoken to? Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Have we gone back to whites only? Those signs hanging in restaurants indoors. That was a little bit before my time. There were some still left over in the late 60s, but have we gone back to that? When gay people either hid in the closet or they faced death? I really questioned whether I wanted to show you this video because I don't like to amplify ignorance, okay? I like to educate you. I like to teach you. And I do want to hear in the comments what you have to say about this. But his words have really gone so viral that I think we need to address it, okay? Here's what he said. Take a listen.
For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation.
Okay. All right. So look, I'm just going to say this. He has a right to say what he's going to say. I do believe in freedom of speech, and I'm going to reiterate that a couple times during this. But that was some ignorant shit that he said about women. And just remember, people misspeak all the time. Everybody does. I have, whatever. But this wasn't off the cuff. This was not misspeak. This wasn't a brain fart. He is not apologizing. As a matter of fact, there was a story today that his wife is backing him up. He read that off of a script, and then he went and he dug himself a deeper bigot hole, not bigger, bigot hole, by complaining about COVID experts, about abortion, about surrogacy, about IVF, about Jews and the gays. And I'm going to get to the gays in just a moment on this. Butker, Nina Turner kind of said it a minute ago about stick with kicking. Please don't make me agree with that Fox News lady. Laura Ingraham, you know, the shut up and dribble lady. But for God's sake, could you please just shut up and stick with kicking? Shut the hell up and just kick. No one wants to hear your sexist, anti-Semitic, homophobic BS. Maybe not even your own mother, who obviously did not follow your backwards playbook. Because I say this because, and I deeply respect what your mother has accomplished. That's why I'm saying this. She is a medical physicist at Emory University, the Department of Radiation Oncology, AKA, that is the definition of a badass woman. Did you run that speech by her? She did both. She raised you and your siblings, if you have them, and she became a professional, the top of her profession. Did you do that, or did you just listen to some woman-hating debate debate me bro podcasters who just sit in front of microphones all day and they complain about women. They are all over social media. They're all over YouTube. All they do. Own the women. Say things about women. Oh yeah, ha ha ha. See these women? But I digress. Because more than likely, this is what probably happened. You listen to some hateful religious zealot who has confused God, faith, and religion with nationalism, misogyny, and homophobia, who actually doesn't really know jack about what the Bible is, what the Bible is saying, distorting scripture to fit your own corrosive narrative. That's most likely what happened. Now, let me just be clear about something. Again, I'm not saying that Butker doesn't have the right to say what he said. He certainly does. I am pro free speech. He absolutely has the right to say whatever he wants, just as I have the right not to agree with it and to criticize it. And you have the right not to agree with it and to criticize it. And I want to be clear about something else. There is nothing at all wrong or shameful about being a homemaker. My grandmother was a homemaker. Back in the day when we didn't know what nannies were, my grandmother was my nanny. And she chose to stay at home. And she helped my mother to raise all of us and help my mother's sister raise their kids as well. That is a wonderful calling, a wonderful thing to do if you choose to do it. But women who prioritize their careers or some other life path should never be ridiculed for it. They should not be told that they were fooled by some, as we quote Harrison Butker, some diabolical Butker, whatever his name is, that they have been fooled by some diabolical lie. They should be respected just as every other human being is respected. But of course, Butker doesn't believe that all people were created equal. That said, as I told you just a minute ago that I would get back to it because women were not the only targets of his speech. He managed to have some venom for the gays too, us gays too. He called on graduates to take pride in their school, but quote, not the deadly sin kind of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it. He's talking about June, which is Gay Pride Month, which is coming up. Now that is some next level shade, some next level homophobia right there. That kind of homophobia you usually only see from closeted gay men. That kind of homophobia, I'll say it again, you usually only see from closeted gay men. Thou doth protest too much. Most of the straight men I know who are confident in their sexuality, they don't have sentiments and words like that for gay people. Why should they care? They're secure in their sexuality. And again, I believe that he has a right to say it. I also believe that it is my right to criticize it. And I also believe in the right to consequences. I do need to say that the NFL did condemn it. They put out a statement. Okay, let's see if they follow up on that. I want to see what follows. Was it a weak statement? Some people think it is. At least they said something. But I want to see what follows here. I want to see if the NFL and Harrison Butker get the Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney treatment. Or if Harrison Butker gets the Colin Kaepernick treatment. The Colin Kaepernick treatment. I want to see that. I want to see if what's good for the black quarterback who is kneeling for equality, if it's also good for the white place kicker who is doing the exact opposite, standing and speaking and doubling down on hate and inequality. What's good for the San Francisco 49er, former, is also good for the Kansas City Chief, current. I'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot. By the way, I'm here in California because guess what, Midas Mighty Nation folks? I'm headed to the wedding of one and only Ben Meiselas tomorrow. I'll let you know what happens. That's why I'm here and doing the show from California. So it's 3 o'clock on the nose straight up here in California, 6 o'clock on the east. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I think I'll see you tomorrow. No, I won't see you tomorrow because I'll be at the wedding. So I don't think I'll see you tomorrow. If I do get a chance to check in, I'll let you know in the community section. We'll send out an alert. But I hope you enjoyed this program. I hope you tune into the shows that we have up now. I spoke with the former security advisor to the former administration John Bolton earlier, that is up online. So make sure you tune into that and make sure you like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you possibly tomorrow, if not on Sunday, and have a great Friday evening. And I'll tell Ben you all said hello.